Então, minha questão é, ao mesmo tempo, o senhor diz que o filme, a respeito da sua vida, não retrata exatamente, né, qual foi a sua trajetória, estereótipa, essa coisa do humor e tal. E o senhor, a bem da verdade, é um outsider, né? Qual foi a história dessa opção por ser um outsider e não um homem um profissional que considerasse o serviço público, né? Ou mesmo uma carreira política que pudesse mudar as coisas mediante as leis? Eu queria saber um pouco dessa história. Assim.
Yes, I can. First, I want to tell you, I have probably spent more time with Brazilian medical students than a lot of people. In these last 4 days, if I had the ability to create a hospital in the ultimate fantasy way, 70% of those medical students would have come. They would graduate and they would go to this hospital to serve their people. If you saw how they're hungry, and I know the medical students that have been at these talks, this talk was organized by medical students. They gave up 4 months of their life. They're way behind in their studies. It's dangerous what they're doing. But they wanted to bring these messages to the medical students here because it affected their life. And I promise you, if we had places for them to go, they would do it. If each of the people that came to these lectures, easily several thousand medical students, if they had places to go of a beautiful place to practice medicine, they would go. They're all sitting there dying to do it. But when they graduate, there isn't. And not very many people like me can decide to add politics to their medicine. I'm in the 37th year of our hospital project. I thought it was going to take 4 years to build. I was sure, because I was determined, the country needed it, it was a great idea, no one else was doing it. I was sure I was going to get funding. I'm in the 37th year, and I haven't started building the building. Every day I get more enthusiastic for it. I never get discouraged or feel it's been hard or difficult because I know it's the right thing to do. I know the students here want me to do it. Igor, as a medical student, came to our place in West Virginia, paid his way there, spent time there because they're dying to have this beautiful way to practice medicine. They would work for much less money. You let me build a hospital here, and they'll work for peanuts. You couldn't build hospitals fast enough that we couldn't find medical people and nurses to work in them, if they could be in their dream way. So in asking me what did I do, why did I choose the political medical route? Because I'm a thinker. Because my father died from war when I was 16. And so I had to think about war, not as an abstract, something you see in a war movie, but because I lost my father to war. And then we came back to the United States, where I hadn't lived, to the South in 1961, and black people didn't have the right to use a white person's toilet. This was in the land of the free, democracy. Statue of Liberty, bullshit. Black people, 20% of our population, couldn't eat in a white restaurant, go to a white hotel. They couldn't sit in front of a public bus. They were citizens. More than my father dying from war, that hurt. First I wanted to die. So if you saw the Patch Adams movie, it's true. I ended up 3 times in a mental hospital in 1 year at 18 because even though I was a happy kid, I didn't want to live in a world of violence and injustice because it didn't look like it mattered to people. I could not believe that a person could live in a country called free with democracy and not let black people be people. I was horrified. Not racist, of course they're racist. Maybe they'll always be racist. But how is it that people that, quote, aren't racist let it happen? I couldn't believe it. Broke my heart. I tried to kill myself. Didn't want to do it. Didn't want to live. And then I thought, you know, thinking. It's always thinking. Anything you do that's good for life is from thinking. I thought, you don't kill yourself, you make revolution. So my library is 18,000 books.
I know, I heard.
I have a huge library. I went to study the histories of revolutions, study people who made projects, and I found out they're just people. None of them are special. Gandhi, he was just a guy. He was a lawyer in South Africa. Things weren't great. The justice wasn't right. So he worked for justice and a different law. And so I found out my purpose was to work for peace and justice and care. The strength came because I had a great mother. I'm just trying to be my mother. My mother only loved. I never saw her do one mean thing, one bad thing, ever make a criticism. I never saw her do anything but love me, love my brother. My brother, her other child, is my assistant. He's 63, I'm 62. We can't wait to go to another refugee camp. And our mother made us men who want to go on vacation in a refugee camp. And so the thinking and the realization that I was living in a world under capitalism and under the hegemony of the love of power over, and in a world that loved money, and everything that a great library can tell you, whether the library or books on politics, economics, sociology, or environment, or politics on medicine, books, literature. My biggest part of the library is poetry, drama, and fiction. So I have 38 of Neruda's books. And what is he talking about? And what is Paulo Freire? What is he talking about? And Augusta Boal, what is he talking about? And I read what they're talking about. And so it just makes sense. If I'm concerned about a child with cancer, why am I not concerned about pollution? Now 1 in 7 women get breast cancer. When will we care about the organochlorine industry? The organochlorine industry spends $160 million a year so that we don't know anything about the organochlorine industry. And so most people in this room don't know anything about the organochlorine industry. And so I don't think it's moving away from medicine. I look at cancer. Yes, I want to know how to help the cancer, but I want to know why the cancer. Why? Why is the person having cancer? I'm interested. The suicide rate all over the world, especially among richer people, is going like this. And yes, it's nice to stop the suicide, but why? In the richest countries of the world is the suicide rate the highest. So I think a doctor asks why. And then they say, what is the design for solutions? So the part of the design for the solutions why did this doctor quit medicine? Because it sucked. It's less painful for his soul to work in journalism, even though journalism sucks. It's not nearly as sucky as working as a doctor in something that's unhealthy. But we need to design. So one of the jobs of a doctor is to design what is healthy.